like to say a thing or two about this song I sing for you. These are not the words you thought you knew.
Sweet. Okay, so we're here with Anika Larsen, who is on Broadway, has done many Broadway things, and I'm so excited to get to chat with you and get to talk with you.
You too, ma'am. All the way halfway across the country.
Yeah.
Fun.
Um, so first, I want to chat a little bit about Stars in the House because that's kind of how I got in touch with you. Stars in the House, if you haven't been watching, is Seth Rudetsky and James Wesley. They've been doing these awesome lives on Facebook and YouTube every single day since quarantine hit. Um, and yeah, what can you tell me about your job role in Stars in the House?
Well, it's no longer, but for a minute I was, well, because it's been so hard. Because remember in the beginning of the pandemic when it was going to just be 3 or 4 weeks? Remember
Yeah.
that? And
Mhm.
so when they started Stars in the House, it really was meant to be this like for the next 3 or 4 weeks, every day we're going to do these concerts with stars, Broadway people in their houses, and then of course it's gone on so long, and Seth and James are just, I mean, they're incredible. They're incredible humans and have just basically devoted their lives to trying to raise money for the Actors Fund, which is not just for actors, but sort of everybody involved in any aspect of the entertainment industry who falls on hard times. It's ways to help them out. So they've been doing that almost every day since. And so they asked me the first week. I was one of the people who, you can see it, it's on YouTube out there. My Stars in the House, little concert from my house. My husband's a trumpet player, and he joined me. And then a couple months later, James called me and he said, we want to do. They started doing plays in the house during matinee times, Wednesday and Saturday afternoons. They were doing these live stream play readings, also to raise money, but also just to feel like we're doing theater in a time when we can't do theater. And he said, we want to do that, but we want to do it for kids because we want to model for kids how it's possible, for drama teachers out there, how it's possible to do theater via Zoom or via StreamYard, I think is the way they actually
Yeah.
do it. Um, I was like, yeah, I'm in. What else am I doing? I mean, I have two kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, so I'm doing that. But what else am I doing in theater? What else am I doing that is outside of my home and not about small children's issues? And so, yeah, so for about 3 months, we every week it just became too much. Too much. It was producing, directing, casting, with the help of my fearless compatriot Jason Crespin, who is my technical guy. We were doing a different play every week with a different cast of amazing teens and sometimes younger. And it was so Plays in the House Teen Edition. And every week we raised money for a different organization that brings theater to youth in America who don't otherwise have access to theater. So it was incredibly meaningful, incredibly fun, really exciting for me because it was my first time ever directing and I really enjoyed it. So that was wonderful, and a way to give back, to be doing, because I'm not a nurse and I don't know how to sew masks. What can I be doing? So this is what I am doing. I am also doing, if anyone out there is watching, Stars in the House Educate at gmail.com is my email address for, and I announced this on Stars in the House a couple of times. I do Q&As for if you're out there and your class wants to hear about theater, have your teacher let me know. Or if there are teachers watching who want, email me, stars in the house educate, all one word, at gmail.com, and I will happily do an hour-long Q&A on life in the theater, life on Broadway. So I've been doing that. I've done over 50 of them all over the country. I'm actually international at this point because I did 2 in Canada and 1 in the Netherlands. So that
Wow.
felt pretty cool, classy. But yeah, so that's sort of what I'm doing now to feel like a theater artist, and to be trying to help because my husband is a trumpet player. He's also the band director at our local middle school. And I just watched him all spring desperately trying to figure out how to teach band on Zoom. It's it's futile, but not. I mean, there's still much they can do, but you can't play together. I mean, everybody knows the lag, the time lag. So I watched him really do his best and do a beautiful job at it. And I thought, well, I can help drama teachers. I can fill one afternoon's class with stuff that people might not otherwise know. And it's been really exciting and meaningful. And I've talked to people really all over the country and in places. I'm never going to Iowa. My touring days are over.
Yeah.
And now that I have small children, and so I'm never going to be in Iowa. Or like the University of Texas at El Paso is a wonderful one. Just a place that probably I'll never be in those locations again. I've seen a lot of the cities in this country, and probably I won't see that many more of them from here on out. So yeah, it was really exciting to sort of be able to join them and visit with them and talk to them, when otherwise I think this pandemic is this giant cloud hanging over all of us, and it is up to us, and clearly you are doing this, Claire. It's up to us to forge silver linings. We have to force them, we have to make them, we have to have something to show for this time that we can feel great about looking back. So that's what I'm doing.
And it's great what you've been doing, and I thank you for it. And Stars in the House is still going, so check them out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And if you're able, please donate to the Actors Fund. The Broadway Vlogs is doing a few things for the Actors Fund, fundraising for the Actors Fund. If you don't know who they are, I'll throw their website in the little box down below so you can check them out. They've been helping artists, not just theater artists, but anyone in the industry that works with arts and performing arts and other things during this time. So please check them out. Okay, so a question that a lot of people wanted to know about was how you got your start in theater.
Sure. Well, I am one of 10 children. And I realized very early on that if I sang, people would pay attention to me, and actually learn my name. Because when you are confronted with a family of 10 children, you don't even start to try and learn their first names. So everywhere I went, I grew up just outside of Boston, and everywhere I went, everybody was like, "Are you a Larsen? You're one of the Larsens, right? You're a Larsen." And so I really wanted people to know my name was Anika. Yeah, so when I was little, I was probably about 5. I figured it out. My mom had Christmas parties every year, and she thought that we were the multicultural Von Trapp family because 6 of my brothers and sisters are adopted from different races and countries. And so she decided that we would perform at her Christmas party every year. And we did. And most of my siblings were less than excited about it, but I was more excited about singing my solo than presents. Like I started thinking about what my big solo was going to be in September. So I fell in love with theater. Because of that. Annie was huge when I was little, and little girls, we all wanted to belt like Annie. And Whitney Houston was huge. And I wanted to basically my whole life, my pursuit, my whole life has been trying to sound like what would happen if Whitney Houston and Annie had a baby. It's like been my life's work. Still working at it. My dad, so I said I grew up just outside Boston. My dad loves theater. He's the only one in my family who loves theater. He's only one who goes when I'm not in it. Everybody else only goes because they have to, because I'm in it. He said to me at one point, if there's anything that tours through Boston that you want to see, I'll take you to it. And so not only did that really foster my love of theater, but it was also one-on-one time with my dad, which when there's 10 kids is really hard to come by. So it just was some of my most special memories of my childhood. And so by the time I got to high school, my high school had a really, really strong drama program. And I chickened out and didn't audition for anything my freshman year because I was so intimidated by the drama kids. And my dad said sophomore year, he said, Anika, just take drama class, just take the class and you'll get to know everybody and it won't be so scary. And I did, and I started auditioning. So that was my start. That was really how it happened. And then I went to college. I majored in theater at Yale, and then I moved to New York City and just started auditioning, started trying, and never really, because I was never a big fish in a little pond. I never was the one who got all the roles, not in high school, not in college. And I look back and I wonder what gave me the nerve to move to New York City and try, start competing against all of the best people in all the big fish in their little towns were coming there. I don't know, I just kept plugging away. My high school drama teacher said something that really stuck with me. He said, if you have the talent, you will work. It may take 10 years, but you will work. And I know that to be true now. I really can only speak to theater because that's what I know. I don't know hardly anything about film and TV, and I don't know about LA. But in New York City, if you have the talent, and I would add, if you're great to work with, because it's so collaborative. So if you have the talent and you are great to work with, you will work. You just have to put the time in. And that also does not necessarily mean you'll be rich and or famous. And if you want those things, I would advocate for some other path than theater. But if you're doing it because you just want to work in theater, then you will. And that's really heartening to know.
And we are so glad that you did go to New York City because some of my favorite roles are things that you've done. So
Thanks, man. Me too, actually. I've been lucky.
So you've done many shows on the Broadway and off of Broadway and touring and things like that. Do you have a favorite thing that you've done in your career?
Well, I think there's two. One is obviously, well, beautiful Carole King musical did the most for my career, but also did the most for my life. In terms of my dresser on Beautiful, I guess I complained about my love life too much. And so one day during a quick change, she said, "Do you want to be set up on a blind date with a trumpet player named Freddie?" And I said, "Yes, gotta go." And I am now the home you are seeing me in. Well, the wall you are seeing me in front of is the wall he purchased years before he met me. He lived out in the suburbs, and I moved in with him very quickly after our first date, and very quickly after that was pregnant with our first little boy, and now we have two little boys. And we call them our beautiful boys because they only exist because of Beautiful, the Carole King musical. In fact, just today, Freddie was driving to work and he texted me, "They're doing a like tribute to Carole King in the Tapestry album." And I was like, God bless that album, because if it weren't for that album, they wouldn't have made that musical, and we would not know each other, and we would not have our babies. So Beautiful has like the most special place in my heart of all the shows I've ever done. But in terms of my favorite show to do, I think it has to be Avenue Q, because I grew up obsessed with the Muppets. And the idea that you can get paid to do, like for Xanadu, I got paid to learn how to dance on roller skates. Like to get paid, like I did a show off Broadway at the Vineyard Theater called Miracle Brothers, and I got paid to learn how to sword fight and do capoeira. Like to get paid to do these things that are amazing, and it's actually your job. You have to show up for work to learn these things, is fantastic. But the idea that I would one day learn puppetry well enough that I could fool people that I might look like an actual puppeteer, when I was so obsessed with the Muppets when I was little. It was really fantastic, and it's such a good show. It's not just, people often think of it as the show with puppet sex, and it's the gimmick of the puppetry, or even just beautifully like the gimmick of the deconstructed puppetry, which is really stunningly done. But on top of that, or maybe under that, holding that up, is an incredibly well-written show. Like the script is so strong, the dramatic structure is so strong. There's no fat on any of the bones. It's so funny, it's so insightful, and the music and the lyrics are so good. It's so good. It's such a good show. And when you're doing such a good show, it's so much more fun when what you're doing is really fantastic and strong and sound. That's why they revive certain shows, just keep getting revived, because they're the really fantastic ones, right? West Side Story all day long, every day of the week. No one would get tired of it. The music is everything. But yeah, so I think that would be, and I also just all the people I got to work with doing that show were so lovely and wonderful. So yeah, that would be sort of, in terms of like fun and experience, that was the one.
So you talked a little bit about Beautiful, and I am late to the game, unfortunately, for Beautiful. I didn't really know it that well, and I didn't necessarily listen to it.
News for you, it closed.
I know.
So you're super late to the game. Yeah, but you know what? I think
it's still touring.
We're still going. Yeah, it was still going when things shut down. Yeah, you have a chance to still see it.
Yeah. The one question I have is, what was it like getting to meet Carole King herself?
She's a light of a human being. She is, she didn't want to watch it for a long time. It's, if you know the show, it deals with some painful parts of her history, like mostly such glorious parts of her history. But I could see why and she's also a really pretty private person, so I could see why she wouldn't want to like show up at the theater, everybody knows she's in the audience, and then watching herself live through this stuff. She just wasn't into that, and I get it. So she didn't come. We did a whole out of town run in San Francisco for a few months, and she didn't come to that. And then we been on Broadway. I think we'd already opened. She came to rehearsals when we were rehearsing for Broadway. She came to rehearsals one day and she was like, ask me anything. So that was really lovely. So everybody was like lined up. It was like a wedding receiving line, you know, like we were just lined up for their moment with Carole. And she was so lovely and gracious. And she looked at me and she said, Cynthia taught me how to dress. Point taken. I did have fabulous costumes. And oh, so good. And then finally, I think she just heard from too many friends were calling her up like, this is amazing. Why are you not going? And her daughter, who's her manager, had been, you know, she was the one who, because she originally, Carole had sent her to one of our early readings that we did to tell her to just watch it, but shut it down. We don't want to do this. And her daughter watched it and she was like, actually, Mom, I think I want to do this. So her daughter had been saying for so long, this is so great. So finally she came to the show and wore a disguise. And I think like 2 people in the building knew. No one was allowed to know because, you know, theater people can't keep secrets. So no one knew. No one in the cast knew. No one backstage knew. But they said they had very cleverly, we were doing fundraising for Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS at that time. So they said, tonight we're just going to film the closing, you know, the closing ask for Broadway Cares. And well, so there'll be 2 cameras and you'll see them in the sort of first and second rows. And so then nobody got suspicious with that. And then we were in the middle, me and Jared Spector were in the middle of doing that speech. And the audience just went, and I was like, what? Did Jared's pants fall down? What just happened? Carole King had just come on and we look over, there's Carole King. I look over at Jessie Mueller. She immediately face crumples, sobbing. I immediately start sympathy sobbing with her. And it was just, it was so beautiful. And she was so lovely and so gracious. And the best part is, because they filmed it, you can watch it. Just YouTube Carole King surprise and you'll get there. And you can just watch us all be like floored. And then you don't see all of this, but I'm very proud of myself because she says, somebody yelled from the audience, sing, Carole. And she's like, I'm only going to sing if you donate. And so we worked, I went up and I said to her, only sing if they donate. And she said, okay, great. So we got 3 different people to donate $10,000. So in a flash, we had raised $30,000 for Broadway Cares. And so then she sang You've Got a Friend. And then I don't think you can see this, I'm not sure if you can, but for a whole verse, she just held out her microphone and the audience sang it. And if you've never had 1,000 people sing You've Got a Friend to you, you should. Like, everybody should just try and figure out how to make that happen. Because it's so meaningful. And I am often really moved by I think there's some real beauty in just people who aren't professional singers singing, because the thing is when you just get a random sampling of 1,000 people, for the most part, people have pitch. So for the most part, they're always on pitch as a group, you know, no matter what individuals might be doing. And so it just always sounds beautiful and it sounds less polished in a way that I find really moving. It was really sweet. It was really lovely. And then she hung out with us afterwards and that was fun. And it was awesome. And then I know she's been back since. But yeah, she sort of broke through the ice on that one. It was great. She's lovely. She's an incredible woman. I mean, what a talent. My boys are, I don't know if you know Really Rosie. Do you know about Really Rosie? Oh, that's going to be fun for you. You're a little old because 5 and 3-year-olds, but it's Carole King music. The children's author, Maurice Sendak, who did Where the Wild Things Are, wrote a bunch of little books that they sort of compiled into this thing, Really Rosie, with the songs like Pierre and Alligators All Around and Chicken Soup with Rice. But then Carole King wrote the music to them. So he wrote the lyrics and they're just for children, but she wrote this music for it. And so we're obsessing, like every morning at breakfast, we listen to it, or they won't eat. And my kids are super obsessing about it right now. And I'll hear snatches of them. Because, you know, Carole King, her melodies are so sweet and beautiful and catchy that like you can't get them out of your head, but in a good way, you know, in the best way. And so I'll hear them just repeating like a snatch, like an air of the song, you know, from while they're playing, you know, it's just in their brain while they're playing something else. So yeah, good old Carole.
Such a magical moment, and all of her music, just a lot of the lyrics and you know what she has to say is just she's
yeah.
She's
yeah.
amazing.
The one sad thing for me was, I mean, I got the joy of, I get to sing Cynthia Wild's song because I played another songwriter. So that was fantastic to be able to sing her music. But then that meant I didn't sing any Carole King music
Right.
in the show. So, but now people think of me with the beautiful. So sometimes I'll do concerts and people will ask me to do Carole King songs. And so I heard them 8 times a week for a long time. So I know them well enough that I do. So Far Away is one of my favorites to do.
That's fun. I just love listening to the beautiful musical track and then tapestry and being like, it's just the newer orchestrations for the musical just makes it magical.
Yeah.
Going back to the stripped down version is also really
Yeah.
fun. And
Yeah, she won a ton of awards, and also that song was that album was #1 for like a crazy amount of weeks. I don't want to say because it's like 50 or something. Like it's a crazy amount of weeks. I'm wrong, but it again, I don't know. Google it. It just was like a game changer in a way that people now don't really know.
yeah,
Which is like it like was held the record for a while or something
yeah,
for
it
a long
did. Yeah.
time on #1.
Mhm.
Maybe like Michael Jackson's Thriller beat it or something, but like it had to be Thriller to beat it, something. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go check out that video of when Carol pops up. Just
Yeah.
it's a fun little, like, it's a guilty pleasure video of mine because it's just fun seeing that. It's
It's
just
also fun to see people, especially actors who've been performing for you all night, to be totally honest and
right.
totally emotional in a very brutally honest way is fun.
It is.
See the
Yeah.
cracks in the armor, see the face under the mask.
Mhm. You were in Rent as well, and
It's
I
my first
wanna
Broadway show.
yeah, and I wanna chat. What is it like being a part? Beautiful is one of these shows. I would say it was open for a while, but what was it like? I guess at that point you didn't really know, but being a part of Rent, this
No,
huge.
I did know because I joined it later. So
Oh, okay,
yeah,
yeah.
so I absolutely knew. I went to see it in college, and I remember watching, thinking, they're so good and they're so young. How are they this good, this young? I will never be this good. So then to get cast in it was bonkers. The good news was I was cast in the LA company.
Mhm.
And so I did that for a couple of months and then did the tour for like a year and a half. So, and I was a swing in the tour. So I covered the 3 ensemble roles in Maureen. And over the span of the tour, did all of those parts so many times that I was so comfortable doing it. So when the Broadway company called and asked me to come there for just a short time, they needed extra coverage backstage. So it was like a couple months. I had the luxury of having done the roles all so comfortably that went to make my Broadway debut doing. I just wasn't nervous because I knew the show down. Like it was slight adjustments with the different companies, obviously, but same exact set, same exact costumes, same exact music and lines.
Yeah.
So they're just tiny adjustments for slight blocking differences. You never want to be in the wrong place and knock someone down or get knocked
Right.
down. But yeah, so it was sort of easy breezy to an easy breezy way to make my Broadway debut.
What was it like being a part of
Oh yeah.
the
So no,
legacy?
that was the bonkers thing. Cause like for kids now, it's like Rent was the Hamilton of the 90s. It
Right.
was a huge deal. It was groundbreaking. It was young people. It was so exciting. And so yeah, it was bonkers. It was so exciting to do it. I'm so proud that that's my first Broadway show on my resume. Yeah, no, it was really, really, really exciting. And I know we were all really proud. And in a way, I don't have this experience with any other show. And I think it's because it ran so long and had so many different casts and also had so many different touring casts. And there was such crossover. I mean, it happened a lot that they would take people from the tours and bring them Broadway and everywhere. And so there is this larger community of like a Rent family. And so it's like there's 1 degree of separation between everybody. And yeah, we all just sort of know each other, even if we've never met each other. And it does feel like this little community of people within the theater community. And I haven't felt that. I haven't had that experience with any other show. And it was so emotional losing Jonathan Larsen, the way they did so dramatically right at the beginning. It just really, I think, sealed for everyone the importance and the how much everybody was determined to carry on the torch for him. and just added a whole other layer of meaning to being in the show. So there was this really intense family feeling when you arrived, but like a welcoming, lovely family. It was,
Yeah.
it was really nice.
My professor was actually in Rent.
Oh, well, I must know him slash her.
Justin Brill.
Of course, I know Justin Brill. I also did All Shook Up with Justin Brill.
And I was like, guess who I'm seeing today?
Oh,
He was like,
give him the
I
biggest.
said,
Oh, we had fun times. We didn't do Rent together, but we, larger Rent family, but we did do All Shook Up together. Ah,
big smile.
yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing about theater, about the theater community, is it is a really small. It's a, there's 8-9 million people in New York City, but within that there is this village of people, and it does become a sort of a family, and you always know you're going to see people again, and that's actually great because it keeps people's behavior in line. Like, you just can't misbehave or it's going to come back to you,
Right.
which is nice, and also means that people really only hire nice people, because why would you ever want to work with, there's too much talent out there, why would you ever want to work with people who aren't nice? So for the most part, really, like, I always laugh when I see in TV and film, they have, like, they'll show theater and it's like a terrible director who's being awful to people, or someone really mean in an audition, and it's just so rare. Of course there are always exceptions, but it's just so rare. For the most part, people are really kind, because they're succeeding, and people tend to be unkind because they're unhappy. People are always unkind because they're unhappy, just by definition. And so if you are, living your best life, then you don't have a reason to be unhappy. And so you don't need to be unkind to other people. So, so it really is nice, the sort of general family feel of it.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Justin in years, but of course, just brings such a smile to my face to hear about him.
You have done a lot of shows where you've gotten to start at the beginning, or towards the beginning. And what is it like getting to do?
It's the best part.
It's not everyone gets to.
Oh, that's the best
roles
part.
And do things.
Yeah, no, it's the best part. It's absolutely, especially for me, particularly, it suits my skill sets and my temperament and my just me. I think of every role like a suit. And you take the suit and you put it on and you try to make it look just the most fantastic on you that you can. But Maria and the Sound of Music is Maria and the Sound of Music. And so you're going to, pin her here, or, try in the back to tie her, and so people can't see that you cinched it there, but you can't actually change the fabric of the suit, right? But when it's being created with and for you, they literally tailor it to you, so like Beautiful, or I don't know, what are the other ones that I've done right now? I'm doing Almost Famous, the musical. Well, as soon as Broadway opens up, we'll be doing that, and so that's another one that I got to start on the very first reading of, and I've got to help, like, they've got to have them just tailor this suit to me, and it's such a magical thing, because they need everybody who originates to look as fantastic in their suits as possible, because that's the cast that's going to be reviewed. That's the cast that's going to do the cast album. So the keys are your key, and everybody else after you has to deal with it. Although sometimes they do change the keys, especially for famous people who come in. But yeah, so, like, if I can't land a joke, it gets cut. Right. Or if I ad lib something and it's hilarious and the audience laughs, it gets added. But like in that way, that literally the material gets altered for you. And so you really end up looking as fantastic as you possibly can. And, you get cast always because your essence is the essence of that character. So, there is like a sort of meeting of the minds between you and the character that, that, it's not, that is the part that, like, when those things come together, when, like, the experiences, like with Beautiful, I had this experience with Doug McGrath, who's the book writer, where I just knew when I saw his words on the page, I knew, and we had to talk about it actually once. He said, you just say it how I hear it in my head. It's really exciting when you, like, just are so simpatico with the role that you just get it, and you just and then they start to write for you. Like, they start to, whether
Yeah.
wittingly or unwittingly, they start to write for you. It's just so much fun. And it's so vastly different, that work in rehearsals every day, finding stuff and trying and changing and all of that is so vastly different than the skill sets and the job required to do the same exact thing 8 times a week. It's just a completely different job. And is also wonderful. I mean, you cannot complain about a job where people clap for you at the end of your workday. Not
Right.
most people don't get that. But then that becomes its own sort of challenge of finding the ways to make it new every time, when it might be your 500th, 5,000th time. Jared Spector, I think, I can't remember how many times he did um, Jersey Boys. And, but I entirely believe, because I've worked with him, knowing him, that he made it seem like it was the first time he was saying those lines every time.
Just like being able to create a role it just seems
It's
so
like a crazy honor to be like, I'm now a part of Broadway history. To be like, and then usually it means you're on the cast album. And that is a crazy honor. And then to know that, like, when I learned, because I still don't read music terrifically, but like in high school, when I was doing high school musicals, I didn't read music well enough to be able to read it off I went and listened to the soundtrack, and that's how I learned day by day in Godspell. So to think, like, I did this musical off Broadway, Xana Don't. If you don't know it, listen to the soundtrack. It's hot. It's really fantastic. But I had people, when I would then tour later, years later, I'd have people come up to me and say, I played Roberta in my school's production. And I, knowing they listened to me and like probably did my riffs, because that's the song, right? Like, so you just think that it's not on the page, but they don't know that, or maybe they do. I don't know what the sheet music says, but yeah, that's amazing that how bonkers is that, to when I was, in high school, obsessing about musical theater, going to here's the thing, I would go to the record store and I would buy cassette tapes, because that's how I'm 47. I bought the double cassette tape of Rent. And so when they called on a Tuesday to say, can you be in LA on Friday to be on stage the following Friday? I was like, yep, I know all the music. I know all the words. All you need to teach me is blocking and choreography and backstage track, all of that. But I don't know. I was young. I had a young person's brain to take it all.
And you're talking about students and other people who are listening to these tracks, and it gets to the point where now places like Music Notes, and just dependent kind of on where you buy the music, they will write in those riffs that might not necessarily
but what's on that
transcribes it or something like that. If it's not explicitly from the whoever, then it's written in, so you never know who's
I learned something today.
Been doing your riffs, I will say that when the Beautiful track came out, when the cast album came out, I listened to a few of the tracks, and Happy Days Are Here Again was something that I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. I love this. I just thought it was so fun.
What's funny is I was going through my phone, like the kind of thing you do in the pandemic. I was cleaning out my voice messages because it was just like it was, I think, 12 years worth of rehearsals, and it was just me and a piano plunking and me singing the wrong notes and I'm listening and I'm like, I have no idea what this is for. I have no memory of this melody. I keep waiting for there to be lyrics so that the lyrics will tell me what the play's about, so I'll know what the reading was or what the workshop was or whatever it was. And often, nope, the lyrics don't help. I still have no idea because that brain space has been taken by something else. But so I was listening, and I have the recording of the day that they brought me that song, because it had been a couple of different songs in earlier readings of it. And then when we were in San Francisco, I guess it was a matter of the people who owned all whatever company owns all the Carole King music and the Cynthia Weil music, also it needed to be part of their catalog so that it was just consistent or something like that. It had something to do with that. So it was like a different set of songs. So the song that we had been doing in that place couldn't be done. So it was in like preview. It was in very close to performance times. And I have the recording of them teaching it to me and me learning it. And then me opting up to say, Daddy, let me write it, which wasn't written because it was just the song. Like it wasn't, we were finding it together, me and Jason Howland, the music director. I was like, no, gotta go up. Always gotta go up at the end. But that was so fun because I had forgotten, you forget. So it was, but yeah, no, so that's a fun story of just like, it could have been, it was like Little Red Robin Hood in the, I can't even remember what the original song was, but yeah, it wasn't Happy Days Are Here Again. And then, as all of these stories are, it was like, it was always meant to be Happy Days Are Here Again,
You
because
know,
look how well it works. Yeah.
well, it's always fun to hear your voice, and you are one of the high belters of Broadway, which I'm obsessed with.
Love the high belting, man.
And if you haven't seen it, the Seth Rudetsky Obsessed, that was that was like years and years ago, but
That was many moons ago.
I
Yeah.
did watch that in preparation for this, and I was like, wow. So,
Thanks,
yep,
man.
cool. Here for it. Here for it. I don't have any other questions, but unless there's anything else that you want to like plug or anything, and I can form that into a question.
No, just everybody come see Almost Famous the musical when Broadway opens up again. It's going to be on, man. It's all happening is the if you know the movie, is the sort of, I don't know, the motto, the mantra of all the people at the rock concerts behind the scenes. And it's now a song written by Tom Kitt that's fantastic, and it is all happening.
I love me a good Tom Kitt musical.
Tom Kitt, wait till you see it, you guys. He has written me three, not for me, like they were written before I joined, but they're mine now, and I ain't letting go of them. He has written three songs. I play the mom in it. If you know the movie, it's Frances McDormand's role, and he has written three songs for me that, I'm telling you, they're juicy, man. They're juicy. They're beautiful, and they're like monologues in song. And gosh, I win with the show. I really win. It's, I call it like the 1,000 layers of serendipitous motherhood, because it'll be the first time I'm playing a mom on stage. It will also be the first time since Beautiful. I did Beautiful. I had my first son during Beautiful. So while he was like 3 to 9 months old, I was doing the Broadway schedule with him. But this will be the first time now since that I'm going back to Broadway. And now I have 2 children. And so doing the work-life balance of Broadway show schedule with 2 small children, never done it, not sure how it's going to go. We're going to figure it out. But just the role is so perfect. Like it's like a gift served up on a plate for a mother, because I'm beautifully featured, but I spend the vast majority of the show backstage knitting, because I don't have the bandwidth for more than that right now. I don't have the energy for more than that right now, because my kids wake up way too early. And even if they're my husband's responsibility for that, I don't know how we're going to do it. I literally don't know how to do it. I don't think there's like people who want to be nannies from like 6 to 10 a.m. Like, do they exist? Can you hire somebody just to come from like dawn till you want to wake up? I don't think
I'm
that's what's
sure
gonna be
there
out
are people
there.
out there that are just morning people.
I don't know. I think they'd say,
People,
yeah, I'm in, I'll do that.
I don't
And
know,
then
but
day 3, they'd be like, nope, I'm back out. I'm back out. This is too much energy, too early in the morning. So I don't know, but so it's just this beautiful gift of a role where I just get to, and it's so easy to do. Like the emotion of it all is so easy, because I'm the mom of 2 little boys, and it's about her struggles with mothering this kid, the son. And it's just all so perfectly timed in my life right now, and so exactly how I want to return to Broadway. And the show itself is so exactly how we all, like, we have this group text. I picked up my phone today and it was 22 texts, and I was like, must be the Almost Famous text train, because it's so tight. The cast is so tight, and we're all so hungry to be back together, making a musical together. But there's a song in it, everybody's coming together, and just, that's all, we all are so thirsty to come back together. We're so thirsty for communion, and the show is about like being isolated and friendless, and then finding friends and finding your tribe and coming together and being part of a larger group, and how important that is for all of us. We're tribal people. And so the messaging of it is so exactly, I think, what people are going to be thirsting for.
yeah.
So I'm real excited. Maybe fall. I don't know. Let's all get vaccinated and meet in the fall.
Vaccines, masks, social
Masks.
distancing.
Yes,
All
all
of
of that. Purell at your seat. I don't know. No bathroom breaks. Don't go to the bathroom. Pee before you come. Don't drink water. I don't know.
Well,
We'll
thank you
figure it
so much
out.
for
We'll
sitting
figure it out.
down. Yeah. Thanks so much for sitting down with me. I had so much
course.
fun. I'll link all of the information that we've talked about in this interview down in the box below. And yeah, thank you so much.
Amazing. Thanks, Claire. This was super fun.
My lyrics will be slick and smart.